Today, the life simulation you'll experience is a king vilified for 3,000 years, DXIN, the last king of the Shang dynasty, called King Zhou by later generations. Wine pools, meat forests, the burning pillar ripping out hearts. These are the version the Zhou dynasty wrote into history. But starting in 1928, the Inshu archaeological excavations, over 70 digs uncovering 150,000 oracle bone fragments, overturned the Zhou smear campaign 3,000 years later. Today I'll tell you in first person, I'm not a tyrant. I'm a loser whose history was written by the victors. My name is Zhou, youngest son of King Di. I took the throne in 1075 BC at 28. Sima Qian's records of the Grand Historian describes me as sharp-witted, quick of perception, strong enough to wrestle wild beasts barehanded. This wasn't written by Shang loyalists. This came from a Han scholar 900 years after my fall who still couldn't avoid acknowledging it. I reigned 30 years and accomplished much, but only 4 characters made it into your textbook: debauched and cruel. The list of crimes the Zhou pinned on me grew over time. When King Wu first invaded, the Book of Documents Mu Shi chapter listed only 6 charges: listening to women, neglecting ancestral rights, alienating brothers, employing criminals, oppressing the people, and harboring fugitives. By the Warring States period, it grew to 20-plus charges. By the Han Dynasty, 70-plus. By the Eastern Jin's imperial genealogy, a full 350. My crimes multiplied 58-fold over 3,000 years. Not historical fact, political need. Scholar Gu Jiegong nailed it. King Zhou's image was layered up over time. Wine pool and meat forest. In 1976, the Inshu Lady Hao tomb yielded 468 bronze ritual vessels. No trace of any oversized wine pool. Yes, we Shang people revered alcohol. Bronze drinking vessels make up 70% of ritual artifacts, but those were for ancestor worship, not for bathing in. The burning pillar punishment? First mentioned in Xuanzi's writings 800 years after my death. Archaeology has found 0 Shang-era branding tools or victim skeletons proving such torture. These crimes were Zhou fabrications, getting wilder with each retelling. Mao Zedong said in 1958, treating King Zhou, Qin Shi Huang, and Cao Cao as villains is wrong. King Zhou was actually a very capable man, both literary and martial. Top scholars Guo Meruo, Li Shuiqin, Luo Jinyu all argued for my rehabilitation. But open the textbook and debauchery is still printed. Why? Because the Zhou victory needs my failure to justify itself. Winners write history, losers carry blame. That's the real cost of a war 3,000 years ago. Now what I actually did. First, abolishing human sacrifice. Early Shang's sacrifice was extreme. Inshu royal tombs yielded 13,000 plus sacrificial human remains. By my generation, that number plummeted. Anhui archaeology shows my father Di's tomb, and mine had only 1/10 the sacrificial victims of King Wu Ding's era. I pulled slaves out of sacrificial pits and into the army and workshops. This was my first atrocity, touching the slave-owning aristocracy's cheese. Second, eastward conquest of the Yi tribes. The Eastern Yi were tribal coalitions in the Huai River Basin who had revolted intermittently since King Wu Ding's reign. The Shang had launched 11 Eastern campaigns without finishing them. In my 10th year, I started large-scale Eastern expeditions, fought 7 years, expanded Shang territory 500 kilometers eastward to the Shandong Peninsula and Lower Huai. The eastward expansion of Chinese civilization, I drove that. The cost? My main armies were stuck in the east while the Zhou state in the west secretly rose. Third, promoting commoners and outsiders. I elevated Fei Zhong and his son Li, both commoners. I made Fei Lian a top general. He was a naturalized Eastern-y. To Shang aristocrats, this was treasonous. Tradition said only royal kin and old families could rise. I judged people on ability alone. My elder brother Wei Ziqi, my uncle Baigan, my granduncle Gz, all royal ministers, got marginalized because beyond bloodline they had no real skill. This was my second atrocity, touching the aristocratic class's power. Fourth, calendar reform. The Shang originally used a lunisolar calendar with irregular intercalary months. I ordered new astronomical observations. Inshu yielded 700+ oracle bone records of celestial events from my era: solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, comets, novas. I had ministers reform the calendar to a 19-year, 7-leap month cycle, one of China's earliest precise calendars, 500 years before the Greek Metonic cycle. Textbooks won't tell you this, because admitting I had achievements weakens the Zhou's righteous overthrow narrative. What about dodgy? Zhou propaganda said I listened only to a woman and lost the dynasty. But the oracle bone term fu, consort, is honorific. Shang had female generals like Lady Hao who led 13,000 troops in battle. Daji was a consort I married from the Su clan tribe. She may have been involved in politics, but the heart-ripping out tales are myth. Those tales first appeared in Warring States writings 700 years after my death. Shang's sacrifice did include cutting open captives' rituals, but those were for prisoners, not your own uncle. The heart-ripping story is a smear cooked up between the Zhou and the Ming-era novel Investiture of the Gods. My real strategic mistake: the Eastern Campaign ran too long. 7 years of Eastern War pulled 70% of Shang elite forces to Shandong. The Zhou, originally a small Western vassal state, used those 7 years to secretly form alliances with 8 tribes: Yong, Shu, Chong, Mao, Wei, Lu, Hung, and Pu. Zhou Wenwang Ji Chong faked submission, sent me cattle and sheep tributes annually, while preparing revolution behind my back. By the time I got the intelligence, it was too late. My main armies couldn't return in time. My final big move: executing Bai Gan, imprisoning GZ, exiling Wei Zi. These 3 were my own uncles and brother, all leaders of the Shang slave-owning aristocracy. They publicly opposed my reforms, opposed elevating commoners, and were even secretly communicating with the Zhou. They were 3 royal traitors. I wasn't bloodthirsty. I was conducting a political purge. But Zhou history wrote it as cruelty toward loyal ministers. The question is, if Bai Gan and GZ were truly loyal, why did Wei Zi later surrender to Zhou and become the Lord of Song? The answer is right there. January 1046 BC, the Battle of Mai. King Wu of Zhou crossed the Yellow River with 45,000 troops, plus 8 allied tribes, total around 50,000. That number comes from the Zhou's own book of documents, so it's reliable. My side. Main forces still campaigning in Shandong. The capital Chaoga had only palace guards and hastily armed slave conscripts. The Zhou bragged I had a 700,000 army, but the entire Leichang population was only about 1 million. 700,000 troops is impossible. Real number: I could mobilize roughly 170,000. Only 30,000 elite, the other 140,000 hastily armed slaves and prisoners. The moment battle started, I knew I was finished. My 140,000 slave troops, most were Eastern prisoners I'd captured during Eastern campaigns and slaves I'd pulled out of sacrificial pits. I thought saving their lives would earn gratitude. Wrong. They were forcibly conscripted and didn't want to fight for me. When King Wu's elite charged, the slave army defected en masse. The Book of Documents, Wu Cheng chapter says, blood floated the wooden pestles. That blood wasn't mostly from Zhou soldiers. It was my own slave army slaughtering each other. More fatally, my aristocrats betrayed me. The Wei Zi I exiled, GZ's faction I'd imprisoned, plus the marginalized royal ministers. They had been secretly communicating with King Wu of Zhou for years. The moment battle began, they opened the Chaoga city gates from inside. Wei Zi personally carried the Shang sacrificial vessels into King Wu's camp to surrender. Afterward, Zhou rewarded him by making him the Lord of Song State, the biggest winner among Shang traitors. I purged them. They handed my country over. That's the cost of being a reformer. The battle lasted only 1 day. From dawn to dusk, King Wu entered Chaoga. I retreated with my last guards to the Deer Terrace, an observation tower I had built for stargazing. I didn't flee. I put on my finest jade ceremonial armor, donned the royal crown, and set fire to the deer terrace, burning myself. The records of the grand historian state. King Zhou's army defeated, he ran into the palace, climbed the deer terrace, donned his treasured jade robes, and threw himself into the flames. I chose death because I refused to be a captive, refused to be humiliated, then executed by King Wu. A king's last dignity is ending his own life. What King Wu did was more gentlemanly. He charged into the burning deer terrace, shot 3 arrows into my corpse, then severed my head with a bronze axe and hung it on a white banner for public display. That's literally written in the records of the grand historian, Annals of Zhou. He did the same to Daji, 3 arrows, decapitation, banner. This is what the so-called righteous army did to a king who had already self-immolated. Later they wrote history glossing over this part, framing me as bringing it on myself. Winners writing history, same playbook every time. I died, the Shang fell. But what's the real truth of this war? Not tyrant loses dynasty. It's reformer beaten by aristocratic coalition. I abolished human sacrifice, used commoners, weakened aristocrats, expanded territory. Every move touched entrenched interests. The Shang aristocracy allied with Zhou to overthrow me, then dumped all blame on me alone. This was China's first reformer carries the bag tragedy, but far from the last. Shang Yang, Wang Engshi, Zhang Jujing. Every later reformer fell into the same script. 1899, Shandong Antiques dealer Fan Weiqing found inscribed dragon bones in a herbal pharmacy in Anyang, Hunan. That was the first time oracle bone script entered scholarly view. In 1928, the Academia Sinica began formal Inshu excavations. 97 years later, with 70-plus major digs, archaeologists have unearthed 160,000 oracle bone fragments, 10,000 plus bronze artifacts, 3,000 plus jade pieces, and 13,000 plus human remains. These physical evidence let me speak through Shang people's own writing for the first time. The me described in oracle bone script is completely different from the Zhou narrative. The bone divinations show I sacrificed to ancestors frequently, not the Zhou's no ancestral worship charge. The bones show I asked about harvest yields repeatedly, caring about agriculture, not the Zhou's ignoring the people. The bones record at least 7 eastern campaigns I organized, territorial expansion, not the Zhou's reckless militarism. Most importantly, my bone records barely mention Daji's name. If she were truly the femme fatale, why does she barely appear in my own ritual records? In 1923, Gu Zhigong published his letter to Mr. Qian Xiantong on ancient history, proposing the layered manufacture of Chinese ancient history. His first example was me. He proved King Zhou's crimes went from 6 in early Zhou to 20 in warring states, to 70 in Han, to 350 in Eastern Jin. The further from the original era, the more specific and absurd the accusations got. He called this myth-making and demon-making follow the same rule. The further away you are, the more detailed your story gets. In 1959, Guomorhua published Reversing King Zhou's Verdict. In 2010, Li Shuoqin led the Xiaoshang Zhou Chronology Project, concluding, King Zhou's image is largely accumulated political slander. IMDxIN, the so-called King Zhou vilified for 3,000 years. My real life, abolished human sacrifice, expanded territory, promoted commoners, weakened aristocrats, a failed reformer. If this episode made you reconsider history, please share it. Let more people see the truth of victors writing history. Next episode, who do you want? A. Daji, called a fox spirit for 3,000 years. She may have been the Shang's last female political figure. Or B. Zhao Gao, the pointing deer as horse villain. He was actually a late Qin reformist representative. Tell me in the comments. See you next episode.